Good
All
morning.
right.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome to Brown and Browner, the post-week 4 edition of the NFL and everything else that's in between for sports and society that we like to talk about around here.
That's right. That's right. We got a lot on our slate again. The NFL is starting to cook. I think once you get past the first 3 games, you start to know a little bit more about the team. The first 4 games, you know a lot about that team. We'll get a chance to talk about that. But what I wanted to talk about, and I know we've had a conversation about this, we touched upon it briefly last week, Ryder Cup.
Yes, sir.
I think the Ryder Cup should have a symbol of some European guy riding on some American guy, because that's basically what happens every single Ryder Cup. And it's become boring to watch, in my opinion, because it's obvious that the Americans have no camaraderie, no cohesiveness, no idea of team. It's just a bunch of individuals playing, and the only time they actually show that they could actually compete with the Europeans is during the last day when they're already down 6-7 points, and they have to basically win almost every singles match to win.
Sunday morning, let's say around noon, you had your option of maybe about 3 sports. You had Ryder Cup just kicking off in day 3, which you already knew the United States lost because they already lost all the team format matches on Friday and Saturday in an embarrassing fashion. They also had India and Pakistan playing for the 3rd time in 3 weeks in cricket, which, again, the most boring sport on the planet coming from an Indian guy. But there is nationalistic pride there, especially with someone in the household, my father, just having to watch it 24/7 and watch a TV for 6 hours where you're literally sipping tea and watching people bat. It's ridiculous.
That's funny because when you mention cricket, because we would talk briefly about baseball. I feel like baseball is the American version of cricket. It gets to be boring, very boring at times to watch. You wash your dishes, do your laundry, cook a meal, and you come back and it's the same inning.
Yep, no, it's ridiculous. And so you had those 2 options, then you had football, which was just kicking off. Now they already had the Ireland game going already at the end of the tail end, which wasn't too bad. So honestly, I was tuned into the Ireland game out of those 3 options because you're supposed to have pride in the Ryder Cup as a golf fan, but you know what? It was absolute shit to watch. Cricket, I'm sorry, even as an Indian, it still wasn't entertaining, so that's off the table. I'd rather watch Aaron Rodgers on a 4th quarter in Ireland. Think about that as an American.
Which, quite frankly, and I agree wholeheartedly, because I turned on the Ryder Cup and I was like, nah, this is boring. Turn back to football. The football game was actually entertaining, and based on our picks last week, neither one of us, or actually, we both picked the Vikings, and boy, the Vikings, Carson Wentz looked great one week, and then he looked like a backup the next week.
I will say that Pittsburgh played better, but not up to what I would think is their potential in terms of their defense. So that probably played a little bit of a role. They did get after the quarterback a little bit more against the Vikings. That probably caused the Vikings to have to get the ball out faster, which means you don't get the ball out to Justin Jefferson and that whole crew. That's one piece of the pie. Frankly, Pittsburgh, they said, hey, Kenneth Gainwell, let's just let you carry the entire rock the entire way. And that was great. I loved it. It was a little shady that the last second benching of Jaylen Warren came up in the injury report at 9:30 in the morning.
Luckily, I was up early. I saw that report, and I put Gainwell in, and he ended up getting me like 36 points in fantasy or something crazy like that.
Yep, I did it in another league, and it paid off really nicely. But yeah, all they said was like, "Hey, Kenneth Gainwell, you go carry the rock." And you know what? He carried that team, and it's great to see.
The hell out of that rock.
That was pure Pittsburgh football. Absolutely.
Yeah, you would think he was a caveman trying to make that rock go uphill. He was toting it so well.
Yes, sir. So no, to that point, Pittsburgh played better, and frankly, we both had egg on our face for having picked the Vikings. But in fact, a lot of the league got flipped upside down this week. So we'll go through all of it here in a short bit.
Yeah. So that was entertaining to start the football schedule. And then you had some other games that, little surprises here and there. Biggest surprise? Who would have thought, except you, that the Giants were going to beat the Chargers?
Hey, I told you that defense is for real. And
that defense is for real.
When you got 4 guys that could beat Pro Bowlers on a defense, that's rare. I mean, think about the history of the NFL. When can you actually say that you've got a guy at every single line of the defense that is a Pro Bowler, if not 2 on their front line, honestly, that can chase after the quarterback?
85 Bears.
Yeah. Well, but then that was a Super Bowl team, so that's what's scary.
The 70s Steelers.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking historic level of talent on the defense. Now, This is still a Brian Dable-led team on the offense, and now they've lost their best player with Malik Neighbors, in my opinion.
That was horrible.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
Very unfortunate, but great start for Jackson Dart's career. Played a complete game. Nothing crazy, but, didn't turn the ball over, so you got to give him credit as a rookie.
Are you listening, Russell? Can you hear that, Russell? You might throw a nice deep ball, but all you do is just throw it up and hope the guy catches it.
Yes, exactly. This guy at least efficiently manages the team, and honestly, that's all it takes for a Super Bowl winner. We've seen that with the Ravens. We've seen that with the Giants. We've seen it with Tampa Bay. We've seen it with a lot of teams.
Exactly.
Even the 85 Bears, for that matter. We're basically a game-managed team.
For the most part, I have to say that the one thing that made them stand out was that Jim McMahon. I'll shout out to Baker Mayfield because he reminds me so much of the grit and grind that Jim McMahon displayed, that rallied people around them. They had Walter Payton, but the fact that Jim McMahon was heady enough to say, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I'm a BYU quarterback. I know what I'm doing. Coach Ditka doesn't know crap. I'm audibling out of this play. Boom, touchdown. Audible, boom, touchdown.
Yep. Nope, credit given. So, no, like I said, it doesn't take much. So, do the Giants have a making of a team maybe in the next 3 or 4 years? Possible. We'll see what happens. But at least for this weekend, hey, they beat the Chargers like I called it.
You did. You called the hell out of that one. I'll give you all the credit there. I don't know how you got that one right. Another game that was surprising to me, and this shows the NFL, and it shows that it's a week-to-week thing. And a lot of times, all of the people who want to be some kind of commentator or someone who is a sportscaster talks about these games. The Falcons get shut out by the Panthers in week 3, and then come back and beat the Commanders in week 4 and look like they actually have a potent offense. Hello? Somebody, there was a sighting. I swear Pitts caught the ball a few times on Sunday, which was a surprise.
That was a stunner. Now, I think both of us picked the Commanders, if I'm not mistaken, however, so it's an easy pick against it. But at the same time, the Commanders just they don't look consistent at all, regardless of their quarterback situation, regardless of whether Jalen's there or not. Now, they didn't have McLaurin either, and I get that.
That's big.
These guys, if they can't last in that division, especially with a downbeaten Cowboys team, a Giants team that's only got a defense, and frankly, Philly is the top dog in all of football right now, then Commanders, you got some work to do.
Well, and quite frankly, have you seen the way Dallas has been playing?
Honestly, they're still on offense. They are still in offense. That's what's scary.
And that's a good transition to that Monday night game. And this is just me speaking. I know many sports have ties and do that kind of stuff. I personally hate a freaking tie. You play all day long. You bust your butt on the field. You're breaking fingers and all of these things to get a tie.
Yep, ties should not be happening in any sport. I don't care where you are, even hockey for that matter. I think in hockey, what they should do is they'll play an overtime or two and then go to shootout every time, regulation or not. In regular season or not.
Or playoffs or not. Yeah. Because in the playoffs, they play forever. But they at least make sure that it's not a tie. In playoffs, there are no ties, no matter what the sport is, except soccer, where they play a home and home. So they get the tie, and you get points based on performance and goals, home and away.
My suggestion for hockey would be this. You play 2 10-minute overtimes. And, if somebody scores, great, it's over, whatever. If they don't score after that the 2 10-minute overtimes, so 2 overtimes, you go to a shootout. Simple as that. You keeps the game fun. It keeps the game lively. Hockey is already a fast sport, which is nice. And at least they would solve the problem there. For football, honestly, you play another 10 minutes if that's the case. If you got another tie at the end of the first overtime, you play another 10 minutes, for God's sakes. Yeah,
the danger with football more than any other sport, except maybe rugby, is when you're out there after playing a full game.
Oh, it's tiring,
Yeah, you played 60 minutes, right? And then you played an extra 10 minutes. Yep. There is a fear that a lot of injuries will happen besides dehydration.
Absolutely.
There's just so much contact. I think that, at that point, I get it. I just don't like it. Just figure out how to make that something, but I get it.
All right, here we go then. You know what? Here's a complete fatal twist to it then. At the end of one overtime, if there is still a tie like we had on Sunday night, it's a kickoff contest between the 2 kickers from the 50-yard line. First one to miss loses.
I sort of like that. Especially
not?
now, when you got a few of these kickers.
Now you got a few of these
People
situations where you a bunch of people missing kicks left, right, and center. This makes it more dramatic, honestly.
Well, and honestly, to me, maybe you're earning your money a little bit more too, because
Yes,
some of
sir.
these kickers are. It's like they can't kick an extra point. It's like, what do you do all practice long besides sitting on the sideline and putting some Gatorade in your face?
I'm struggling to figure out the kicking situation this year. I mean, we saw the classic last week. It was just doink after doink after doink, and miss after miss, and block after block, and all that stuff going on.
Yep. This time it was different.
Yeah, this time it was different. But at the same time, I'm like, you're telling me that there are soccer players all around the world.
Maybe they just don't know, because that would be the first thing. Is like, okay, I'm a soccer player. Let me just go try out for a team. Now, first, let me practice for like a month and a half. Yeah, and then I go try out for a team. Look at the guy from Dallas.
Yeah, well, Dallas, you got Cairo Santos. I mean, you got a bunch of guys that are former soccer players that could do really well. Eddie Pinheiro. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. So at the end of the day, I think you make it more incentivized to have value in a kicker by creating that dramatic effect at the end of the game. So maybe that's one way the NFL can spice things up.
Hey, and I'm happy you said Pinheiro, you said Santos. I like to see more brown people doing some field goal kicking. So I'm okay with that too.
Hell yeah, it'd be fun to see some variety in there. And frankly, like I said, it creates more value on the field. You already got a multi-billion-dollar product out there. You know what? Create some value for your kicker.
I'm okay with that. You might have to throw that one out to the committee before they vote next time.
Patent pending, Brown and Browner, patent pending.
There were a few other games. The Jaguars looked pretty good. They whooped down the 49ers. ETN was running his butt off. Yep. Lord Farquhar is looking sort of good, Prince Charming Farquhar guy. Sorry, Trevor, but you do look like a mixture of the two of those guys. You just do.
Exactly. Everybody's been giving Liam Cohen a lot of trash, and obviously that came to light even at the end of the game when he tried to pick up fight with her.
There was some smoke and some heat going on. Boy, Salah came up. You don't want this. Hey, they said something more earlier that I think is so funny, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you see that fight, I've seen it 1,000 times. It's both of them barking like dogs, but they're making sure somebody's in between them, because there's never going to be a fight. Yeah. They just sound good. You don't want any of this. You don't want any of this. Maybe I do.
And I get the whole gamesmanship thing. You know what? I could care less. But at the end of the day, I think for the Jags, they got to make it or break it game against the Chiefs on Monday night now because of this. Now, the Jags have been showing some potential, and I think the new coaching is helping Lord Farquaad succeed, and Etienne being used and everything else. Like, they're finally starting to gel a little bit. We've seen this picture before every year, and then it crashes and burns. So you know what? This is your game. Monday night, you host the Chiefs. Chiefs are on a rebound, as far as I'm concerned. I think having Worthy back changes the entire complexion of that offense finally, which was nice. It adds a whole different dynamic. Now, I think in 2 weeks, when we get Rice back, I think that's when we really get to see what the Chiefs could be. I'm not saying that they're going to be it, but I'm saying what they could be, because their offense will finally be able to operate the way it's supposed to. So until then, they got to play the Jags next Monday night. I think Jags have a make it or break it game. If they can beat the Chiefs, they become potential contenders in the South, I think, because all you have is the Colts, and the Colts lost this week, which was interesting enough.
Yeah, they're tied to the lead in the AFC South with the Colts. And quite frankly, the thing you just said about Jaguars, I think it holds true for Daniel Jones. You hope it doesn't happen, but you expect it to. I have to disagree with you, though, about the importance of the game from the Jaguars' perspective versus the Chiefs' perspective. The Chiefs, even with the San Diego surprisingly lose to the Giants, they're still looking up. And if they were to finally get to 500 and then lose this game against the Jaguars, that could mean a lot. The Jaguars could afford a loss because of where they are in their conference or in their division, where they still could beat out the Colts. I don't think the Chiefs have that luxury if they don't win.
No, I think the Chiefs it's a must win for the Chiefs, because honestly, this could play a wild card role at this point. Yeah,
agreed. And if especially they lose, now you got Jaguars that are fighting for their wild card spot if they don't win their division, or the Colts, and that's one extra team that has a better record than you.
Yep. No, with the way the strength of schedules work and everything else, the Chiefs are in a must-win situation, at least against the Jags, and then probably the following week, honestly, against the Lions too, so that they can get healthy and get back to a full potential of roster for Week 6, and then get back into the division to try to see if they can overtake the Broncos and the Chargers again, because frankly, Broncos and Chargers are looking good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. The Broncos still sort of shaky, but they look better on Monday night. But again, that was against the Cincinnati team.
Yeah, against mediocre.
Yeah, known defense that has, looks like Swiss cheese, and they don't have a quarterback. So, and I think that's sometimes, you were talking about the Giants and their D. I think sometimes we forget that if you're a good defense, but you're on the field 80% of the time because your team is going 3 and out or have 2 or 3 turnovers, you can't really perform. Ask Cleveland about that. Cleveland has a decent defense, but you'll never know it because they're going to lose every game because their offense is that putrid and inept. So
statistically, the best defense in the NFL is the Browns, and frankly, they are again another team that has 4 levels of players, including Myles Garrett, who is the absolute game wrecker that nobody can talk about because the offense sucks. Frankly, it's time to put Joe Flacco to bed. I hate to say, I think it's that time. Now, do you start Shedeur? No, you probably start Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion, in your next game.
I would too. I think that Shedeur shot himself in the foot after those comments that he made. Quite frankly, he might not play at all. And if they really if he was afraid that maybe there was a conspiracy against him because he has a bigger mouth and son of Deion, but he doesn't have Deion talent, what he did will probably put him in the doghouse at Cleveland forever, and potentially for the rest of the league.
Think about this. During the draft, I can't remember if it was him or his dad, they came out and said, hey, we don't want to be drafted by the Ravens. They said that very boldly, and it's a big statement around here, too, in local press. Guess what? You would have started this week.
That was a bad move. Because
pretty sure you were
well, they just thought he was going to step into a starting role. That's why they wanted him to go there. Well, I tell you, didn't want him to go there. But I can tell you,
I'm sorry, reality.
Ask Aaron Rodgers. Yep, but ask Aaron Rodgers. Ask some of these quarterbacks, even Alex Smith, that sat on the sidelines and watched a great quarterback operate, and then had pretty good careers themselves. So. Sometimes you just got to take your medicine and sit on the sideline for a minute to be able to become that star. He didn't have the ability to start on any team.
You didn't come from a top 20 college program, Shedeur Sanders. Hey, Deion Sanders. I don't see Colorado in the top 25. You're not a team. You're not a team player in a team sport. So guess what? You shouldn't be starting in the NFL. I don't care who you are.
And you just work hard and keep your mouth shut, and you'll get your opportunity.
And that's where I love guys like Kim Scatterbo.
Scatterbo, that dude, they were saying on the Sunday morning show with the guys, Ryan and Moss and all those guys. He is the hammer. This dude runs with a conviction that reminds me of like Earl Campbell. Like he just runs, he's got the low gravity and he just runs his heart out. Genty also has that kind of.
This is the long lost son of Mike Alstott.
Mike Alstott, I love it. Remember him? Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Dude was a tank.
Dude was a tank, and he's a goal line machine. And you know what? That's what Cam Scatterbo is going to be. He's going to be that dude that says, I'm going to get me the rock into the paint. Simple as that.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I mean, there were some good games. The Buccaneers, they and something that I've seen as a trend. There are teams that are literally losing games because either their special teams aren't performing and their turnovers at key points of the game, or in the sense of the Colts and the Rams, you got a guy who trying to celebrate and butterfingers, and the ball goes out of the end zone. And if they got those 7 points, especially at that moment of the game, probably wouldn't have lost the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, like I said, there's people still forget this is a team sport. Individual showmanship only comes with actual success. The problem is in this generation that doesn't exist. They want to be individuals first and then team players. That doesn't work
all day. Yep.
And that's what costs them.
Because everybody wants to be known, everybody wants their moment on SportsCenter, and then hope that they can parlay that into a brand. And don't get me wrong, I understand that thought process. I'm just old school. You had to earn everything first, and then you got the accolades. Now everybody wants the accolades based on the potential versus the actual performance, and it's just bad.
I spent the last 4 years coaching my son's soccer team, trying to teach my kids that. And frankly, I think they're finally starting to get it now. But it took that much time to coax it out of this generation. And these are only 10-year-olds, mind you. So it's sad that we're seeing the state of affairs. And honestly, it's being perpetuated even further on the media by all these kids coming out of college these days, where it's all me, and build my brand. And then by the time you get to the pros, guess what? You suck. You know
Hope you
what?
made your money in the portals.
Yeah, there's
Hope you
only a
make your money in
handful.
the portals, because you're not going to make it in the pros, because you're not going to last long if you even get a chance to start in the pros.
I mean, I'd like to make a hot take now and say that anything that's come out of the college from, let's say, 2023 all the way through, let's call it the next 15 years until culture changes in sports, you're not going to see legacy winning Hall of Fame players come out, in my opinion, because you're not going to get team players that can build sustained runs for championships, team dynamics, team leaders. None of that's going to exist in this generation, in my opinion.
Well, and you've seen some of that, and quite frankly, I know I'm older and I have an older perspective, and I try to, keep that in check and see it, in different light at times. But nobody has the dedication and commitment to go through the bad to get to the good. They want to get that next contract. They want it to be $100 million. They could care who they play for. It's just you're not going to see these dynastic teams, because nobody's going to be able to say, you know what, I like the team I'm on. Just pay me enough to make me feel like you appreciate me, and you have enough money to go get some other players and do this. Everybody wants to get the biggest contract, and before you know it, they're alienating themselves from the team concept.
Name me a quarterback outside of Brady and Manning in the last 15 years who's restructured their contract so that they can make their team dynamic stronger. Not a damn one. Definitely not Aaron Rodgers. It hasn't been Patrick Mahomes yet, but he might have to start doing that next year.
He will have to start doing that, and he should see that.
And he's technically underpaid for his work, but that's, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, what is he, like the 5th, 6th highest paid quarterback, and yet he's the best quarterback in the league? He's what?
8th now. He's now 8th.
That's just ridiculous. And the people that are above him, one of which is Trevor Lawrence, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, think about it. The Manning brothers, I think, were only like a fleeting moment where the top paid quarterbacks, only the time they signed their contract. By the time they actually took the field, they were like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, highest paid, whatever, and they won rings.
Yeah, they've shown that they can do it.
Yeah.
Based on potential. I feel like it's like back in the day when John Concac of the Atlanta Hawks was the highest paid player in the league, and you got like Jordan and Harper and all these guys were getting underpaid by some,
think about that. Michael Jordan was not
barely move around. What's that?
Think about that. Michael Jordan was not the highest paid player. Think about that for a second.
He should have been the highest paid players after his 2nd or 3rd year. They should have been like, look, he's about to propel us to the next level, like Tiger Woods. You should be paying this guy. Yeah,
and again, I'm still a Jordan over LeBron guy, but even LeBron hasn't been the highest paid player in the league. Think about that for a second.
Just a brief conversation on that. I know we've gone off on a tangent, but there should be no more GOAT conversation. I'm sorry. LeBron isn't the GOAT because he played for 55 years and had the most points and all of that. How many championships did you have? The GOAT is determined by how you do that. When you win and you're at the pinnacle of your sport, not just because you're there and you're showing that he's an intelligent player. He's got
everybody claims he's top 5. To me, he's not even in my top 5.
I was about to say, and I've had that discussion and argument with quite a few people. And the people who are this generation, they want LeBron. That's what they see. But they don't know all of the great players of the past and compare them. And it's hard to have that generational discussion because of the different variables that are at play in one generation versus another. But you can tell this. Jordan won every time he got to the finals, period. When it needed to happen, Jordan wanted the ball because he wanted to win, period.
Well, there's two things that separate. There's two things even more separating in my mind, even more than the championships. If you are truly the best person in basketball or ever, then you want the ball at the end of a game.
That's my
LeBron James has never wanted the ball at the end of a game.
Never. Plus, the other thing that you never hear, the best of the best of the best, even if it was Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, or Brady, or any of them, you don't hear them say, I am the GOAT. Nobody ever says that out of their mouth because, that is always determined by the people watching you, not by who you are. You can think it in your mind, like, I know I'm the best, but you should never say it out of your mouth. And LeBron has said it multiple times.
Oh, yeah. And that's what, again, I'll go back to a generational conversation. Everybody in this current generation has to say, hey, I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. We grew up, I think you and I, and probably our generation as a whole, grew up knowing that if we did what we were supposed to do and did it as well as we could, other people spoke for us.
That's right. That's exactly right. You don't need to toot your own horn. Everybody else will let you know how great you are.
Yeah.
And you're going to have your detractors.
That's how you know greatness.
Now,
that's how you know legacy.
That's it.
Legacy is spoken of by others, not by your own.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how great I am. No, that I don't want to hear that.
If somebody else can tell stories to their kids about your greatness, that
Then
tells
you
me
are.
that you did something special.
Exactly. And again, not that we needed to go off on a tangent, but sometimes you just need to have those conversations, and some great conversations evolve from going off on a tangent or identifying a specific thing that is more broadly applied, whether it's your sport or your field of work or whatever it is. So,
well, frankly, I think we'll get to that conversation maybe when the basketball season starts, and then we'll pick it up again at the end of the basketball season. Because again, another sport that takes way too long to get through the regular season by itself.
Well, they all do. We got hockey that's just about to start. You got basketball coming in November, hockey in October. You got the end of the baseball season, and now the playoffs are coming, and we'll just touch upon that. My Cubs are going against the daddies, the Padres. We'll see how that happens. And the best matchup, at least in the wild card, is we were just talking about, is the Red Sox Yankees. That's the one of those.
Your Red Sox Yankees first round doesn't get better than October baseball than seeing that. Honestly, it kicks off, and there's 4 games today. It's gonna be a great baseball day for the baseball fan. Finally, we're in the playoffs. What's crazy is I think you've got the 2 best teams potentially having to play each other in the semifinals of their respective leagues. With the Phillies and the Dodgers potentially playing in an NLDS showdown before they even get to an NL championship or the World Series, which is going to be crazy. So we're in for some good fireworks, I think, for baseball. Some great matchups, I think, all around. I mean, prohibitively, I'm going to go with probably a Phillies, and sentimentally, I want to see the Mariners win. I love this Cal Raleigh guy. I'm telling you.
I sort of do too. I love what he's done. I wish that Ken Griffey or even Suzuki or a few other great Seattle players in the past had an opportunity. They just never made it. Randy Johnson started pitching there.
Martinez, Randy Johnson. I mean, there's a slew of Mariners out there that in '99, I wish they would have won the title when they had the most wins and all that. But
for me again, I also like that story. Seattle hasn't won anything. The Yankees, Red Sox, all of these other teams have won. The Dodgers bought their way to
exactly. And that's my other thing. All these other teams have bought their way up.
Yeah.
Mariners, homegrown. I love it.
Yeah. So I would love to see them win. I sort of want to see the Phillies go because, again, it's a new team.
I would like to
been seeing. Little mad at the whole Kyle Schwarber. Used to be a Cubs guy, and we don't want to pay. So now we watch him hit 50-plus home runs for a team in the same conference.
Schwarber, Rizzo, I mean, all those guys from the 16 team could have been around for at least 8 years. But you know what? The Cubs decided to go with their money ways or whatever, as usual, as most sport teams do in baseball.
Well, and most of it is probably right. I mean, look at Bryant and a few others. They sort of fell off. Rizzo fell off. He wasn't even playing much for the Yankees. So, but Schwarber, bro, that's a guy who brings the heat every time he bats. Yeah, and he's electric.
Yep. Rare find. But well, baseball kicks off. It'll be fun. But let's get back to the world of football, which is America's
Let's get back to the number one sport. Did I say that again? Can I say that again? Number one sport in America is the NFL because they only play 17 games. Used to be 16, and everyone has meaning. They don't play 162 games or 82 games, where most of the games don't matter until the end of the season. They play the games that matter every week.
And their viewership is 4-fold of any other playoff sport. Think about it on a weekly basis. That's how scary it is.
Well, to that point, let's talk about the upcoming schedule. I think we have a couple of games on the slate that could be surprises. I'm going to run them down for what I have. First, we have Thursday night, a divisional game against 2 of the teams that people felt we're going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year with the 49ers and Rams in LA.
The Rams are pleasantly surprising me. Stafford's healthier than what everybody said at the beginning of the year, and he is operating well. Puka Nacua is that dude, and frankly, the defense is playing a lot better than I expected for the Rams too. So honestly, that is a complete team out there in the West. The Niners, as happens every year, they've got injury issues always and always and always. They've never had a season that had a full team.
Never. Is there something to that?
I think
Are
there
they
has to be something to
practicing
do
the wrong
with their training, their medical staff. Like something's
Right.
got to be out there because I mean, it doesn't happen for 10 straight years to any organization in any sports. I don't know how that's happening. It's just
I
bizarre.
don't get it either. And they still are one of the teams to pick as a favorite. And they're not losing just some old buster guy who's backup. They're losing Bosa's.
All their top players.
Yeah, they're losing Kittles. They're losing Purdy's. You know, last year they were losing Samuel. You know, Ayuk is out.
Yep. And that's exactly why I got to go Rams on this one because they're the home team. They're still healthy. And frankly, the Niners are one Christian McCaffrey injury away, which is the only one that hasn't happened yet, from basically going down the tube again. So at the end of the day, they're fragile.
Wait, but his face isn't on a Madden product anymore, right? Okay.
That's
so
true.
he'll be all right this year.
That's true. But no, that's where, like I said, I like the Rams in this one with the home game. It's a division rivalry, but I like the Rams on Thursday night.
I'm with you. Matt Stafford, you know, I was worried about that. I could have picked them in fantasy, but they're, you know, like all teams do, they start jiving around during the preseason, so you're unsure. But he's come out, and Devontae Adams has been a great ad. Think about this. They lost Cooper Kupp, who was like the MVP of the league. Was he 1 year? But, you know, he's one of the best receivers, if not the best, for a few years. They lose him. Get Devontae Adams, and they're not missing a beat. And that rookie coming through the hole, or not rookie, but they got Williams as a running back.
Yep.
You know, and their defense is no joke.
No, like I said, Sean McVay. I don't think he gets probably enough credit in the historic annals of football. Yeah, he probably inherited a team when he won the title. I get that, you know. But honestly, he is a developer of men. He knows how to get players. He knows how to get the right people in the right places. You give him another 10 years as a coach, maybe he becomes in that conversation of, hey, one of the higher elite coaches. But at this point, he knows how to get this team ready. He's got them contending again this year. Frankly, they should have beat the Eagles last week.
They should have beaten the Eagles. They gave that game away.
We're talking about a potentially should have been 4-0 team this weekend. So I think it's an easy pick.
Yep, agreed. Next, I got the Vikings and the Browns. I'm not sure where I go on this. I got to take the Vikings. But I sort of feel like they are in for a world of trouble if they aren't able to score 20 points. And if they aren't able to, I'm sorry, when you're at the end of the game, and this goes back to what we were just talking about, there are some, maybe not GOATs, but some really good players who potentially have Hall of Fame careers ahead of them in the NFL. Jefferson is one of them.
One of them.
Why are you passing the ball to anybody else on fourth down when it counts than him?
Exactly. No, and I think one thing that'll help the Vikings this week is they're staying across the pond.
Yeah, you know, that actually is an advantage. I wonder about that. I would complain if I was the Browns because now they've gotten acclimated, and we're just trying to get acclimated. That's an advantage for them.
Yeah, so I think the Vikings will be okay. Plus, honestly, the Browns, the offense is anemic, and I hate to say it with Joe Flacco right now. They need a kickstart to their offense somewhere along the way, and it's going to have to be at quarterback to make that Browns offense wake up and be used in some fashion. They've always had a good potential for a running game. They just can't get it going because they can't get the ball out to their receivers. And frankly, I'm sorry, Jerry Jeudy's not a one. You know
what? That is the truth. And I got him on both of my fantasies team. This guy isn't even a 2 the way he's playing.
Nah. And that's the thing. You got David Njoku, and really that's about it to throw to out there on a reliable basis. And even then, you can't use them enough. So the play calling on the offense, everything for the Browns is just not looking great to actually put points on the board. Because of that, you got to lean on your defense. Your defense is elite, but just like my colleague here said, you spend 40 minutes on the field, you're worn out.
Can't play. Plus, you're losing that drive when every time you do something good, the offense does something bad.
Yep.
You know,
so
and I think you said it about Flacco and needing to replace him. I think he's gone the way of Russell Wilson. It looked good to start with, and if they can reach back into the fountain of youth and show what they've done in the past, it would be great. They had one game, each of them, to show they looked like they could do that, and then reality is set in. Forgot the quarterback now. Yeah, get Gabriel out there so he can get some of the reps. Now, the bad thing is, if you can't protect him, he's going to look like Caleb did first year, running around with deer in the headlights and being afraid he's about to get his neck, snapped by, all these people rushing at him. They're 3 times his size. So you got to do something to shore that up. Keep a tight end. Take one of your tight ends, make him a blocker, and Njoku goes out in a pattern. Jeudy goes out in a pattern. Use Ford and the other running back more dynamically, doing screen plays and quick outs, and maybe you could free something up. But if you get a 9 in the box because you have no passing game, you're never going to be able to run the ball.
food for thought. You know, we've always said that it's good to have a rookie quarterback learning from a mentor and things of that nature in the NFL. And we've seen the proof, proof is in the pudding with a lot of quarterbacks that are out there. The last guy that superseded Joe Flacco, his name's Lamar Jackson.
There you go. That's right. That is exactly right. Now, granted, Lamar sort of stepped in as
a little different, yeah.
Yeah.
That boy different.
That boy bad. What do we got next up? So I'm just gonna go down the line if you're all right with that. Cowboys at the Jets.
I mean, as much as I'd like to say the Jets closed out the game last night a little bit better, obviously they still lost to the Dolphins, which is just pathetic sad in its own right. I'm sorry, but Aaron Glenn, you're not a head coach. It shows so far. I mean, too much of this on the sideline doesn't win you games.
That was classic, though. That's they should show that for that should be one of those iconic things like playoffs. That should be the
Seriously.
one like going on the sideline. That was some good rhythm, brother.
Doesn't work. Cowboys, honestly, I mean, despite what we have to say about them and all that, their offense puts up numbers. They put up numbers every single game. The defense is what's killing them. We know that. So do the Jets have enough to overcome that the Cowboys defense? No. So honestly, I think the Cowboys win this one pretty easily.
I'm with you on that one. It's a shame. I would love to see the Jets be good again. I would love to see the New York Sack Exchange and all of that be reborn, but not with these Jets.
I tell you what looked impressive yesterday.
I don't know if I would
see a final grab by Garrett Wilson.
What's that? Oh, that catch was incredible.
I'm telling you, this kid is amazing, but nobody can get him the ball.
But he's got I don't know if Justin Fields is that quarterback. And the other thing is the Jets still haven't invested enough money in the front line to protect any quarterback, whether it's Rodgers or Fields or whoever else they want. And if you look at this, they have been inept for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah. And like Vinny Testaverde, shit.
well, right. I mean, since Sanchez, and look at it. They have had you got Geno who was there, you got Sam Darnold who was there, and they're now starting in other places and playing way better than they ever did in New York. It's just a shame that their ownership can't get it together. And honestly, we don't need to talk about them. Greeny, I know you like the Jets, but even you are saying they suck because they suck. Garrett Wilson is their only bright star. Breece Hall could run the ball, but they can't. They're not consistent enough. And their defense. Hey, what happened to Sauce? Remember, Sauce was like the next big thing. I haven't heard his name one time.
Sauce turned into vodka sauce and just creamed up a little bit. He ain't good no more.
He ain't not anything. So both of us got the Cowboys. So far, we're picking the same teams. Yep. And I'm going to talk about our records after this. So last week I got the better of you, 3 games worth.
There you go.
So the next one I might not require much conversation. The Aints are back. And I think if anybody's smart enough, you should go and get you some of those old paper bags that you used to get at the store.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start making all of your different masks that say Aints and go down to New Orleans and sell them because you can make some
early season Mardi Gras bags, I think is what we should call them, because that should be what you should be wearing as embarrassed fans, embarrassed football team, to say the least. And the Giants, honestly, are going to decapitate them, in my opinion.
I think so. One thing to note, though. For 3/4 of that game against Buffalo this past weekend, New Orleans actually looked like they could beat them. And if they didn't try to do the darn Philly special at the wrong fucking time, or excuse my French, then they might have had a chance to beat them. That turned the game totally around. At the very least, they could have gotten 3 points, but they were moving the ball effectively. Why did you need a trick play all of a sudden?
No, they I don't know if it's Kellen Moore. I don't know if it's the culture of the Saints. I don't know what the hell's going on down there. They're drinking too much of that, Bayou water or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
This is going to be a homecoming for Jackson Dart, semi-homecoming. He's a Mississippi boy, obviously going to New Orleans. Yeah. I think the Giants take this in a roller.
Yep, agreed. Next on tap, Raiders at the Colts. The Colts have been the surprising team of the 2025 season. Daniel Jones has resurrected his career. They all have all of the weapons. I mean, they have Downs, they have Pittman, they've got Taylor. They've got what you need to win games. They even got a decent tight end. Their defense is fairly stout. As long as they don't have Eberflus coaching their defense like Dallas does now, they are going to be okay. Playing the Raiders. The Raiders are the Raiders.
Honestly, the one thing I haven't heard from the Raiders all season, and I don't know why we haven't heard it, is the name Max Crosby.
Actually, we did hear a little bit about Matt Crosby. He was wreaking some havoc against the Bears. You know the name that we haven't heard? Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was supposed to be this next generational tight end, and they had one before. Warren, what's his name? Warren or something like that. Who's now on the Dolphins?
Darren Waller.
Yeah, Waller. There you go. What is it with the Raiders and not being able to find something? They're like the other. So you got on the East, you got the Jets, and on the West, you got the Raiders.
I don't know what it is with the Raiders. I mean, they've gone through too many coaching changes. That's one of their problems. Now you got a 80-year-old man that could be going senile. We don't know what the hell's going on with Pete Carroll, but at the end of the day, their play calling's hurt them all season. I think they've got the right pieces on the field. They just can't get the ball out to the right people at the right time and on the offensive end. On the defensive end, like I said, Crosby, and then who else? I mean, you got to have somebody else to pass protect. You got to have somebody else do something else on that defense to shore up the game. Against a dynamic team like what I call the Colts at this point, where the Colts can throw, Daniel Jones can use his legs, Jonathan Taylor can run the ball. It's going to be tough for them to keep up, honestly. I think the Colts win this one. As much as I'd like to see the Raiders show some more fight, and maybe we need to have Tom Brady as an offensive coordinator. I don't know what the hell needs to happen.
or maybe he comes out of retirement and speaks back up, baby.
I hear that Fox contract has a lot of outs on it.
Oh, we'd love to see that. But don't do it, Brady. You'd get yourself hurt.
He'll get himself hurt.
Right. This might be the weakest game on the schedule besides Titans Cardinals.
Yep.
Dolphins at Carolina.
Ugly game is all I can say. It's gonna be an ugly game. Is this a make it break it game for Bryce Young's career? Probably, because honestly, if the Duke can't start winning games, I think he's demoralized and done at this point. It's sad to say that it's this early in his career, but I mean, Carolina's got nothing positive going. They're still too young, too new at coaching, they can't build an organization there. That's their problem. The peak of their organization was in 2015 when you had Cam Newton, you had Steve Smith, you had a good transition plan going, you had a defensive player, Luke Kuechly, you had all sorts of things going, and then everything went sour. Cam Newton went down. And Luke Kuechly had to retire early. Steve Smith retired. You had no succession plan. And they can't seem to get better and better every year. They seem to be staying at the same level. So honestly, nothing there. The Dolphins, I mean, crackhead Mike McDaniel, whatever you want to, what is it,
Him sitting up with his hoodie, walking into the
whatever you want to call him. He had it going last night. I mean, he got to it to throw the ball. I mean, yeah, we lost Tyreek Hill probably for the season, I believe, from what I saw.
He's out for the season, dislocated knee.
They still got Achane. I mean, Miami's still Miami on the offense. Their defense, I mean, it's supposed to be good, but it still hasn't been much. They'll probably beat Carolina is what I'm going to say, but this is an ugly game.
We've gone with a few visitors already.
Yes.
3 out of 4, it looks like. 3 out of 5.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Panthers.
You're the homer?
The reason I'm taking the Panthers is this. Miami hasn't shown me they can put 2 consistent games together, that they can play more than one game well. They don't have Tyreek, who for some reason not using him for what he is. The dude's really too small to be in the middle of the field. He's great. Just take him long. You're going to hit 1 or 2 of those every game if you just did that.
Even for the time that he was on the field, it doesn't even look like the dude has any passion to play.
He doesn't. He's one of those guys that, unfortunately, in that Kansas City was smart enough to get rid of him right away instead of paying him. He's the guy that becomes the cancer in your locker room. If he's not the focal point, if he's not the guy getting all of the accolades and getting the star power, he's going to be the guy you don't want on your team. And that's what he's been since he left Kansas City. Remember when he said Tua throws a better ball than that tune changed so fast. So,
honestly, yesterday I think he had his Antonio Brown moment. He was sitting there smiling and waving when he's on the cart, deep in the field. And I'm like, all right, you done. He gone.
You know what? I actually read his lips when he was on the cart, and he said, finally.
Yeah, finally. Guess what? Nobody wants you now either, dude.
Well, and maybe what he was, in my opinion, what I felt when I saw that was that he was happy that he was injured, so he's not have to deal with the bullshit of going to practice and then going out and losing and having people talk about him. So now finally he's gotten relief, and you may not ever get it back to the league. You got a lot of off-field issues too, Tyreek.
And again, not to get back to the whole generational conversation, but you've had guys like Des Bryant who were whiny wavies. You had Antonio Brown, whiny baby, and now I think you got the most modern one. It's Tyreek Hill. These guys are cancers in the locker room, go out with no class at the end of their careers, in my opinion. And that's the reason they're going to be forgotten little statistics in the back of annals in 25 years from now. Nobody's going to remember it.
Yep. Has T.O. even made it to the Hall of Fame yet?
Sadly not, and that's another guy. I mean, yeah, he had his moment, but again, crybaby who left his career at the very sour note. You never even had a closing ceremony for him. Think about it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. As much of a joke that he was off the field, the dude had talent. The dude has the stats to be a Hall of Famer, but he was one of the biggest jerks. And
statistically, he was better than Larry Fitzgerald, but Larry Fitzgerald's going to be remembered.
Of course, because he was class act.
Yeah, class act. Exactly. Yep. So there you go.
All right. We got
1 o'clock. Yeah, one other 1 o'clock game. Texans Ravens.
Is that a game? Is that a trap game? Is that a trap game for the Ravens where they're playing right now?
I think it's a make it break it game for CJ Stroud because he's looked like shit, all season. So the Texans have to be. I think it's a must win for the Texans. As far as the Ravens go, they don't know what the hell they're doing out there. They look so bad against the Chiefs that I didn't have any words to say. I mean, being partial living here, being a Chiefs fan, I had to take my gloat moment and just be like, damn, you all suck. But then watching Lamar on the sidelines is what really puzzled me. Okay, the guy goes out with a hammy. He's sitting there on the bench. He's all alone. No medical staff near him, mind you, the entire time. And he's got this little wrap around him that's got some ice, and it's just hanging off of him as if, it's like, oh, he's not really hurt. Something, did he just pull himself out? Like, it really makes me question what's going on in the locker room in the Baltimore Ravens situation.
I don't know if he pulled himself out, if the coaches did that, but I noticed the same thing. It probably was wise. It probably was wise given where they were at the stage of the game. Did they really have a chance to win that game? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think this game.
They abandoned the run again. This is three straight times.
And I have Derrick Henry on one of my fantasy teams, and I don't understand why the coaches don't get that their game is predicated on the run, not the pass. It isn't Lamar trying to become MVP for the third time. It's about winning games.
Yes.
And they're not going to win any games if you got maybe the second best running back, if not the best running back in the league, not pummeling them in the first half and then wearing them out in the second half. You're giving them the ball sparingly, you're putting in Justice Hill and other people.
Yep.
Come on, man. That's a coaching issue.
Even fans here are left speechless in terms of what the hell's going on with the Ravens organization. The defense is gone, literally gone. I forgot what commentator came on yesterday. It was an interesting hot take by them. They said, hey, have you noticed that they haven't shown Ed Reed? They haven't shown Mr. Murderer, Ray Lewis. They haven't shown other guys even at the games anymore because there's no pride in the defense.
That's right. I agree. And you're right, because it used to be he was there every game, and they had earlier this season, they had, I think, a Thursday night game, and Ray Lewis came by and made a cameo on the show while they were doing it, and then you haven't seen him since. And it's right. They don't have any pride. They don't play with any energy and any conviction. They're just out there. And they're going to get their asses handed to them if you got good teams.
Roquan, where are you? Roquan, where are you?
Yeah, where is Roquan? I haven't heard his name at all.
Nope.
So, but the thing is, this is their get-right game. If the Ravens lose this game, they're not making the playoffs, period.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a make-it-break game for both teams. It's back in Baltimore. It's a 1 p.m. tip. It's tough for me to pick this one without any confidence, but I'm going to go Ravens on the homer on this one. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans won because it's a make-it-break-it game for both teams.
Well, if the Texans come back, they get Nico Collins, does not fumble the ball. They got Chuba. Right, or not Chuba? They got Chubb. They got Chubb. They got Kirk.
Yep.
So they got some weapons. They could play.
Yes, they do.
So we'll see what happens. I'm taking the Ravens. Also, I just don't have faith in Texans. Ravens are at home, and they got egg on their face this past week. One thing to say about Lamar, and you said that. I think, I'm not sure Josh Allen's at this point, but I think Lamar is at this point. He can't beat the Chiefs. Period. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the albatross or whatever. He's not going to – I don't think he's going to overcome that.
I'm going to give him one defensive mark. He's had 3 different coaches having to play the Chiefs, which is stupid in my opinion.
Yeah.
Three
especially
offensive
like that.
coordinators. I mean, where's the stability for the guy that has
Agreed.
this much freak potential? It's sad to see. It's sad.
Well,
to
that
see.
goes back to you had mentioned Aaron Glenn and whether you're not. I think he'll be a good coach. He's a player's coach. But maybe it's another one of those, the offensive coordinators do well, then they go off somewhere to coach, and then they need to come back because they find out head coaching is not their niche. Their niche is the offensive coordinator. And maybe it's the same with Aaron Glenn. He should be a defensive coordinator, not a coach. Maybe that's what's happening to Lamar. But I feel like, to me, just my thought, Lamar needs to get out of this. I think they peppered him so much in his head that he needs to be a pocket passer. You shouldn't run around like Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham. You need to be a pocket passer. Hey, they didn't say that shit to Steve Young.
Exactly.
So that's all I'm saying. Lamar, get that out of your head. Be the player that you are. Don't believe the player that they're trying to make you to be.
Be the dude that won the Heisman. Take over the field. Be that team leader. That's all I can say.
Exactly. I know that my team sucks. I'm going to have to put him on my back. I'm going to run this one. I'm going to pass this one. I'm going to run this one. I'm going to hand it off to Derrick Henry. That's all we're going to do.
The best quarterbacks in the league are the ones that can call themselves at the line. Peyton Manning, classic example.
Yeah.
The dude called plays. He didn't care what the coordinator said. He said, fuck it, we're doing our thing. He owned the field. Owned the field, Lamar. That's all you can say is own the field.
That should be with every great quarterback. You get up to the line, you see the defense, you know what the play is, and you make a determination on whether or not that's the right play for the defense being called.
Yep. Nope. Totally agree.
Next, I got Broncos Eagles. So Philly's at home against the Broncos. The Broncos, the up and coming team, they look a little better this past Monday. The Eagles are the Eagles. They haven't been great. You got some chirping. Another one of these diva-ass receivers is like, oh, we're 4-0. But let me send out this cryptic text about, well, if people don't want to listen to me, then, I'm just going to go over and cry in the corner and read a book because nobody's listening to me. Oh, we're 4-0. So this is a team sport, AJ.
The Eagles have too many weapons not to not fail. That's the thing. And that's the thing. Like AJ Brown can sit there and be a crybaby all he wants. Don't care. Yeah. They still got weapons at every other position.
Goddard is killing them again.
Goddard's maybe their best receiver. Devontae Smith hasn't shown the brilliance just yet because he hasn't gotten the ball. And frankly, that's part of the problem. The Eagles play calling sucks. Their offensive coordinator is another problem because they could be using every bit of those guys and they don't use them enough.
I would agree with that. Plus, if you think about it, have you really heard much from Saquon? Has he even had 100 rushing yard game?
They like I said, the Eagles just been quietly winning. They've just been quietly winning. And if that's going to be the case, they're going to tear this league apart and go maybe 18-0 at this point. It's going to be scary.
I think they have the potential. I think the team that may beat them, to be honest, will be in their division.
It will
not anywhere else. And then
it will be a rivalry game.
Yeah,
it'll be a rivalry game. One of those things.
That's it. And it could be the Giants.
They play the Giants twice in 6 weeks here in a stretch that's coming up. So that'll be interesting. For this game, though, I mean, as much as I like what Bo Nix was showing on the field yesterday, getting the ball out to Mims, getting the ball out to Sutton, and everything else, they haven't played a real team like the Eagles just yet. This is a game in Philly. Got to go Eagles over the Broncos on this one.
Same with me. Don't need to say much more about it except one thing. Bo, if you're listening, I think I've said this on one of our podcasts before. Yeah. You need to go and see if Bo Ricks is still open. You need to be the spokesperson for Bo Ricks. I mean, there's not a better fit. Bo Nix, Bo Ricks, go get your money, boy.
Yep. No, I mean, I like the guy, and that's the thing. Sean Payton is the quarterback whisperer. That guy can make quarterbacks, and honestly, he's done a great job with the Broncos. They're still young, but this is gonna be a tough road game for them. And that's why the Eagles are gonna win this one. It's in a horrible place. I like to hate to go to.
It's funny you said that about Sean Payton because the funny thing about that is Russell Wilson came there, and I think Russell Wilson is so stubborn and such a
diva.
Yeah. And he's totally a diva, not a team player. It's all about him. He's got the movie star looks, wants to be a model, got the wife, and he doesn't play to win the game. He plays to make himself look good.
Broncos Nation, let's ride. Yeah, not so much.
Yeah. So fake.
Yeah.
What we got next? Can we just pass this game up real quick and then we can talk about some of the more concerning ones? Titans, Cardinals. I got the Cardinals.
That's ugly. It's the Cardinals. Yeah. Feel sorry for the Titans. They might be 0-16, 0-17. It might be pretty sad this year for Cam Ward.
Actually, I think the only thing to really talk about when it comes to the Titans is the comments that came out of Cam Ward.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. Very true. He called everybody on blast. It was pretty interesting to see.
Wow.
Weak ass shit, basically.
Wow. He was like, what's the phrase? I forget the phrase they were using, but basically put him on blast. What's that?
Yep. I forgot the phrase he used either.
Yeah,
but
I forgot
like,
the phrase he used, but then he said, we're ass. I mean, ouch.
Yeah. No,
He's like,
and
when's the last time the Titans won? I don't know. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. And that's an indictment against the entire organization. It's impressive to watch. Honestly, I kind of liked having those comments come out of a rookie, because at the end of the day, hopefully that sparks a new trend with the Titans. They need to clean up the house over there. They've done a poor job of managing that team, coaching, quarterback. Everything has just been a mess. You get rid of Derrick Henry, for God's sakes. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, for Tony Pollard. Sorry.
Yeah. So, no, like I said, they're going to have to hit the reset button on the entire organization this year. Cardinals win that one pretty easy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the Titans actually have a couple weapons. They got Ridley. They got Pollard.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the hell their offense is, but it's offensive. It's not an offense.
It's offensive. It's offensive to watch. And I feel sorry for the city of Nashville.
All right, which game you want to talk about? We got 5 left. By the way, interesting bye week. So this is the first week of the bye week. The Falcons, who just came off a big win against Washington, is out. The Bears, who just came off of a big win against the Raiders, blocking a field goal at the end of the game. And there's something interesting about that. So the guy who blocked the field goal at the end of the game, and I thought this was a great story. The long snapper noticed a tendency for the field goals that long snapper on the Raiders. And he noticed that before he hikes the ball, he shimmies it up a little bit and then he hikes it. And this is where you earn your shit, guys. The guys who are pros and paying attention, this is why you go to practice. This is why you look at film. That one little nuance.
Yes.
He was able to use that to win a game. Not, if the guy, let's say Carlson makes the field goal, the Bears lose. To win the game.
It's a testament to the fact that every position on a field matters, no matter whether you're a lineman, a quarterback, or running back. And it's all about the intelligence you use to be a contributor to your team.
That's
so, yes,
right.
kudos to that guy. Absolutely.
That's right. Because you're on the special teams. That talk about, besides a kicker, like the most utilized person that people do not know unless you actually are playing, on defense or offense. So kudos to him and thank you, because the Bears 500.
Yep. Know your matchup, play your role, and be that person.
Yep. Do your job. That's the definition of team sports. Do your job. And he did it.
Yep. Absolutely. But no, like you said, big bye week across the field for teams that are coming off wins. So it'll be interesting to see how that spills over.
Yep. And Packers are there. I think they need a bye, because I don't know how they didn't learn how. If you looked at the end of that game, they had so much time on the clock. And talk about Jordan Love not understanding the moment. They wasted like 17 seconds. And then they ended up they got lucky that the ball fell incomplete against the guy's back, because if they didn't have that extra second left, they would have lost that game. And they were in field goal range for the last minute or whatever. So, Green Bay got lucky. It's good they have the bye, I guess.
Yep. Very true.
And then lastly, the Steelers. So all of the teams besides the Packers, were coming off victories, and they get a chance to rest up. So hopefully they'll utilize that time and come back even stronger.
Yep, agreed. Afternoon slate. Let's kick off with the Commanders and Chargers.
That's going to be an interesting game. I guess the question is, who's going to be quarterback?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question for the Commanders. Is Jalen Daniels back to being healthy? Is McLaurin back to being healthy? I don't think if you have those, you won't be able to win a shootout potentially with the Chargers in that situation. And frankly, that's where I think the Chargers win this game.
I agree with you on all of those points. Not knowing who's going to be the quarterback, not knowing if their star receiver is going to be there. If Mariota is the quarterback, I don't feel like they can win. I think the Chargers are licking their wounds from maybe not giving their opponent enough. Yeah. So I think I got the Chargers as well.
Yep. Bengals Lions.
Is that a game?
Shouldn't be. Should be about a 40-point blowout for the Lions, I think, in my opinion. So I think it'll be an easy one. Jamar Chase having to defend himself on social media after the game last night, apparently. Apparently he's still reading criticism from, random ass fans That to me, that's not the sign of any maturity from a receiver at the end of the day. He's sitting there saying, I still got pride, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You shouldn't have to prove yourself to anybody. Show it on the field. Simple as that. I don't care who your quarterback is.
That's it. You know, and I wonder, we talked about wide receiver divas. I think many of those just had that personality, but I feel like some are creative.
Some are creative.
You get in a bad spot long enough, and people start looking at you, like under a microscope, and sometimes you start becoming that snappy, I can't take it anymore kind of person.
If you asked me if I wanted to compare two LSU receivers who are at the top of their game, similar profile and everything else, who has the better maturity and long-standing career, in my opinion, Justin Jefferson over Chase all day.
I would agree.
All day. And I think it's a difference of attitude between the two.
And they're both LSU boys and both have star power and all of that, but I do agree. I think Jefferson's a little bit more polished when he comes across. So we'll see what happens there. Could be interesting to see if Cincinnati implodes, what happens with the Higgins and with the Chase and
honestly, at that point,
and do they fire the coach all of a sudden? Even though
I think coach is on the hot seat.
Yeah, but Burrow got hurt last year. They started 0-4 or whatever, 0-3 or something, and they've been doing this for the past few years. Might be time to get a new coach.
Let's put it this way: Burrow got hurt. Okay, that tends to happen a lot, and I get that trend. But at what point as a coach do you not figure out, hey, I need to get my quarterback more protection, and more importantly, I need to get the defensive side of the ball fixed? So you know what? That's on you. Simple.
Yep. I mean, part of the defense is who you draft, but you should be in that draft office, whatever, and boardroom, and you should be looking to bolster your team. I don't feel like Cincinnati has done that.
Exactly. Let's go. Patriots-Bills.
Patriots-Bills, another game that we could just I already put you down for the Bills. If you take the Patriots, I'm gonna drug test you.
Yeah, no, that's an easy one. That's more than an easy one. You're going into Buffalo, for God's sakes.
Patriots are surprising. I think the Patriots beat the bad teams well, but they don't play it good against the good teams.
Yeah, they're still growing. They're still young. I think with their quarterback situation with May and everything, they're still developing. First-year coach with Vrabel, I think he's going to take a while to build up, but they can't overcome Josh Allen and those boys. There's no way.
I don't see that happening. Before the Monday night game, this could be an interesting one. Seahawks-Buccaneers in Seattle.
I think we're both going Chiefs, but I think this is going to be an interesting game because, honestly, Lord Farquaad hitting on his cylinders.
Wait, we forgot one. That's what I said before we do Monday.
I'm sorry.
We got Buccaneers-Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, Bucs-Seahawks. So, you know what? I am going to go. So this one's dependent on how healthy the Bucs can get, because they're also missing some defensive cogs now.
And Evans.
I think and Evans. And Evans is already a known injury. They got Godwin back, and frankly, that throw from Baker Mayfield to Buka was just amazing to watch during that Eagles game. I'll tell you what, that was some balling, and we know Baker's that dog. But playing in Seattle is a different thing. It's tough to play against the 12th man. And frankly, the Seattle Seahawks are not a bad team. They're 3-1. They're a legit contender in the West.
Yep.
I'm going to go Seahawks only because it's a home game for them. But I think this game's going to be close. I think Baker could pull it, and this would be huge for the Bucs. But I don't think they have enough juice to take out the Seahawks in Seattle.
I'm actually going the opposite way. I'm going to take the Bills on this one because they played at home against Philly. They played tough. I guess that's one thing that's actually working against them is that they were in Tampa, and now they got to go clear across the nation.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I think this is going to be the game where they're not going to be chasing as much. They've been chasing every game. They've had to come back in the last quarter. They tried to do it again, and it fell short. I think they're going to change that up. I think having Bucky play the way he's been playing, I just feel like they are going to – Baker's going to bake, and Bucky's going to buck. And I think that they're going to be able to take out the Seahawks. So you're right. The Seahawks look like a good team. I'm just 100%. I'm not 100% sold on them. They got all of the weapons. Yeah. They've got a great running game. They got in Jigba. Let's see what happens. But I'm taking the Bucs on that one.
All right. No, I think that'll be probably the best game of the weekend in terms of pure matchup between two teams, I think, for sure.
Yeah, good point. Last but not least, our Chiefs are playing in sunny Florida against the surprisingly 3-1 Jaguars.
Shad Khan and the boys are, Lord Farquaad. He's got his magical kingdom up. They're playing well. There is no home field advantage in Duval or whatever the hell they call it down there. No idea how that turned into a maiden call for the county. I'm sorry, but that's how sad it is in North Florida, apparently. I'm sorry, but with Worthy back, this looks like a good offense finally. Not saying that they're 100%, but I think the play calling is getting better on the offensive side of the ball to the point where Patrick Mahomes isn't pressured as much to come up with magic. And I think that'll pay off. The Jag defense still doesn't inspire me by any means. I think we'll put up points. Our defense is honestly playing well, in my opinion. I think the dialing by Steve Spagnuolo of where to call plays, blitzes, everything else has been wonderful so far. It's kept us in every game, relatively speaking, outside of maybe Brazil against the Chargers. So, frankly, I'm taking the Chiefs by 7 on this one, I think.
I've got the Chiefs as well. I'm not going against the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs against the Ravens. I'm definitely not taking the Chiefs against, or not taking the Jaguars. I do think there's still some concerns, but I think, let's see what they do this week in offense. To see them score more than 30 points and look like the offense they used to be, to see Kelsey actually catch more than one pass in the game, to see Pacheco score a touchdown, all of those things are great to see. Worthy being back opens up the offense.
I was glad to see Hunt get the ball in the flat. That was the one piece during the game I did appreciate. I mean, Pacheco sometimes he ran into his own, players and kind of ran into a stone wall.
Still does that, yeah.
But getting Hunt to that outside, especially with Worthy flying upfield, that's been paying off, I think. And then that'll come to light, I think, a little bit more in the play calling, hopefully over the next few weeks.
And I think Hunt can play a more of a key role from a running back perspective than even Pacheco, because if they can get him outside, he runs like a horse. And he's shown in the past that he can do the yeoman's work. So let's see what he does. Jacksonville, great to see that story. If they don't have ETN doing anything, which I think the Chiefs going to shut him down, then you don't have much to lean on after that. Lord Farquhar, Prince Charming, or any other place in the fairyland is going to help them beat the Chiefs.
They haven't used Brian Thomas, like the crazy weapon he was last year, which was kind of been interesting for the Jags. Like, he's been good, but not great. So as long as our corners are playing true, I think I like our matchup and being able to shut down Farquaad and having to force Etienne be the player. But then you got Chris Jones and the boys. That linebacking core is underrated. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love our linebackers right now.
And again, they shut him down. I think, you hit Farquhar a couple of times. Before you know it, he's going to crumble. He's going to turn into what he's been the last few years, what we've seen. He has good flashes of good and flashes of bad. And his Clemson team isn't even going to make the playoffs or any, but maybe not even a bowl game.
That one's going to be out of a job.
He should be out of a job. I'm sorry. As good as you may be, if you go one, what is he? He's lost. Has he won a game?
He's 1-3, and frankly, he came out very boldly and prominently last year, where he said he's not going to embrace the whole NIL philosophy and try to get the portal. So at the end of the day, this is the price you're going to pay as a legacy coach, and that's why Saban left, even though he doesn't admit it. That is why Saban left the game, because he is the old school mentality of being able to recruit, walk into a player's house, recruit them, and that doesn't exist in this day and age. In this day and age, you buy your players in college, and that's not something traditional coaches want to sit there and have to waste their time on.
Yeah, and it's funny you said it about Nick Saban, because as soon as he left Alabama, they went from way up here above everybody else to way back into the middle.
They got kind of lucky on the win against Georgia. I'm not going to call it a trend, and the SEC kind of went upside down this weekend. But at the same time, and we'll get to college football maybe another time. But as we get closer to some of the playoff rankings and stuff like that. Because honestly, the best game of the weekend, I thought, was Oregon-Penn State. I love the fact that Oregon went in there and punched Penn State in the mouth in that whiteout.
Well, Saquon being there, did they win a title? Penn State?
No. That's the thing. James Franklin is like 1-15 against the top 10, and that guy still gets to retain his job. In a conference that is that, demanding, that guy has gotten to keep his job. It's just amazing to me.
I've always felt like Penn State is overrated. They're the guys who can beat up the little guy. They're the bullies that beat up the little guy, but when another bully steps up, they don't have a chance.
I got family that's gone there. I always tell them they went to the State Penn for school, so it is what it is.
State Penn, I love that. That sounds like who was it? Was one of their coaches, not Paterno, but one of their coaches. Well,
well, they had all sorts of bad stuff. Yeah, we know that.
The State Penn.
Right. I mean, frankly, it is. It is the state pen because, frankly, they can't beat anybody in the Big Ten. They got to stay at home all the time and in their little prison.
Hey, I'm gonna say this, and maybe somebody will see this and give me some flack over it, but it isn't a state pen if you don't have more than 5 black people on your team. Sorry, sorry, because the state pen has a lot of black people in there purposely. There's a reason for that.
I'll say one other offensive comment. James Franklin, only about half.
Only got 50%.
Yeah.
You know what? You got to have fun. You got to laugh, and hopefully, people are learning more about, taking things like that and having fun with it instead of making it something that it becomes ugly and so off base from the intention that was applied or was in the intention of the statements that are made. So, well, we went through the football slate this week. Be some great, interesting games. And get your popcorn ready. T.O., that's what you're famous for. Get your popcorn ready.
That's my October. Baseball's kicking off today with their playoffs. Finally, football's in high gear. College football is at its best in conference play right now. There's a lot of fun stuff happening in sports.
Yep.
Would it have been better if the United States would have actually showed up on a golf course? Yeah, probably. But you know what? They couldn't do that, so they couldn't inspire us for the fall season. But
it's not going to happen.
We're getting into the fun of fall sports now, and it's just only begun. October is going to kick off into basketball and everything else too. Get ready, buckle up. We're going to be ready to talk about everything around here.
You got that right. We're going to talk about all the sports, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. Looking forward to everything except the weather that accompanies fall sports. That's true, but that also makes it fun. So we get to see the messy games, if you will. Now, we don't mean Mark Messi. No, at some point, we'll get
Lionel Messi. Excuse me, Lionel Messi. Wrong Messi. Yes, we will talk, and that's what I was just about to say. At some point, we'll get into a little bit of chatter about soccer as we start approaching the World Cup and that whole dynamic. The ticket purchasing season will be starting soon, and you'll get to see how stupid that is. We were just talking about that, and here's a funny stat for you. So we were thinking about going to the Cubs game. $600 a ticket for a playoff game, and not a playoff game. The wild card playoff game. We heard from a fellow coworker the Phillies starting prices were just about that, if not a little bit higher for the first round. That's crazy. Yep. And then it is unaffordable. And we were talking about the Olympics. I'd love to see. We got a chance to watch the World Cup. We saw Germany play Spain when the World Cup was here in the States a while back. Would love to go, but I can only imagine what the prices are now. It's going to be stupid, and that's the thing. Like, we've got to do something about the ability to get local fandom, affordability to actually enjoy global sports, and that's the thing. This is the first World Cup where they're not protecting a certain allocation of tickets for the local population. Think about that for a second. Because apparently the United States is too spoiled. Yeah, but what that means. Normally there's a 15 to 20% allocation per country, especially like when it happened in South Africa a few years ago. I think it was 2010, 2011, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. They had a 15% allocation. So you had local population that was able to afford tickets, come in, enjoy the sport on a global level. Not in America. Not in America. Out of America, as much money as possible. We're going to fleece everybody, and honestly, that changes the diversity within the audience, and it doesn't allow many of the people who are the true fans of those teams to actually watch their team live. And we're never going to have global appreciation in this country, ever. We're never going to be able to compete on a global scale against what is arguably the most popular game in the world in soccer. Think about that. It is. When we talk globally, people say, I love football, don't get me wrong. But the most popular sport around the globe is soccer, hands down. And why? And think about why. Because it's affordable to play in any country. Relatively. Except America. Except America. Well, what are the most popular sports? Let's keep it real. You got the elitist sports like the tennis and the golf. But what are the most popular sports? Football. You go buy football. It used to be like $5 at the store. You can go out and play. You didn't need cleats. You didn't need anything. You didn't even need chalk. You use trees and garbage cans as your out of bounds markers. I'm sorry, but not to denigrate the fact that we've got some of the best wide receivers in the country coming from the Bayou in Louisiana right now. All it takes is the ball on the field. That's it. Well, and what's baseball? Whether you're here or in Central America, just sticking a ball. You don't even need to stick. You could just throw the ball to each other and catch it. Japan, Central America, all these teams are amazing to watch in baseball right now. Yep. And then lastly, basketball. Basketball. I'll take the hoop and the dream.
And yeah, I got neighbors down here. They got hoops on their garages, and it's all great because where I live. But quite frankly, I grew up when we used a milk carton, the old school plastic milk carton. We would cut the bottom out. We would nail it against the wall above a garage or something, and that was the basketball. That was the hoop, and we played basketball in the alley. But you could play.
Yep.
And these are the most watched sports in America.
Well, and I'll put a bigger indictment on society today. We don't see kids going out in the neighborhoods playing with their friends, as much as we used to. I'm sure you kind of see this in Chicago too. And frankly, I get the reality and the dangers of what's in the world and all that other stupid stuff, that exists. But frankly, I remember I was 7 years old. I'd be running around the neighborhood till 8 p.m. with all my friends and learning how to play activities, sports, games, building relationships, social, everything.
Yep.
That doesn't exist anymore. Everything's too structured these days. Your parents have to drive you to this, go to this.
Yeah. All I got, Papa would tell me, boy, get out of the house. And literally, the way I became, a great athlete or a decent athlete was we played baseball in the afternoon, we played football in the morning and the evening, and we would play basketball right after we played baseball.
Think about this. The movie The Sandlot will not resonate with this current generation.
Right.
It'll resonate with you and me. It'll be one of the greatest movies and the greatest stories of what we used to do as kids.
Right.
But this current generation, when's the last time you saw 9 kids just walk out from their neighborhood and go to the local ball field and go pick up a game?
They don't even know the famous.
They don't even know what a game is. Yeah.
They don't even they don't know what a game is, but they don't even know the quote. And the sad thing is, and again, I get all of the technological advancements that we've had, but it's creating distance. We don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. We don't know how to do face-to-face. We don't go outside. We'd rather have this. And I came from an age, now granted, once games started coming, people started staying in the house a little bit more because, when you had Atari, people would come over your house and you'd play Odyssey.
We had that too, if you think about it. We had people stay the night and stay over and have the games, and then during the day,
you were out. We played tennis. We played every single sport possible because that's what you did as a kid. We played catch one, catch all around the entire block, just down the street here.
We played
because
midnight,
that's what we did.
Hide and seek in the middle of the dark. It was fun, hide
and seek. That's right. Yeah. Now you might not want to do that as much. There's some shady shit going on. It's like, what happened to Bill? He's hiding real well.
Right?
Oh, wait, and Bill and Katie, I haven't seen either one of them. They're out making out in the bushes.
See, but that used to happen. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, nope. You're right. No, it's a shame to see that we don't know how to balance some of the things that are these advancements of today, but still keep some of the things that really make us human beings, the interactions with each other, being able to go out and do things and interact with your life as opposed to making it up through, the computer or your phone, and don't get me wrong, there's some great things about the computers and the phones, but I feel like we're losing a little bit of that, the human in us. Where we go and we interact and we want to feel and touch. Like I want to touch the wall and know what a wall feels like instead of reading about it and assuming I understand what that is.
We're probably going to be a generation of kids that don't even know what a scraped knee is. Seriously.
Yeah. Sad to say. Sad to say.
It's very pathetic to say, but it's going to be true.
Yep, it could be very true. But hopefully, everybody that's listening, everybody that doesn't listen, is getting a better understanding of what we need to do as people to bring us closer together and stop trying to find ways to bring us further apart.
Nope. And that's exactly what we do here. Like I said, we'll make levity about the world, but at the end of the day, all we're asking is for is human interaction, being able to have some fun in life, and frankly, be with one another. That's all you can ask for.
That's it. And have an open mind to be able to receive other people and things that aren't like you. Don't use the TV and other people's judgment and perspective to define how you see your life. Maybe I used to have this shirt with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bruce Lee, still have it, where meet someone who doesn't look like you. Make a friend with someone like that. You might learn a lot about them, and you might learn a lot more about yourself.
Yeah, that's what inspires creativity in the world. That's frankly what we need right now. We need some creativity. We need some ingenuity. We need independent thought.
Yeah, because right now we're going decades back. We're setting ourselves decades back, and we're allowing ignorance and emotion to rule the day. And all that does is put us in a state of fear. And you see what happens when you have a state of fear. All of a sudden, we're becoming a military state. Like we're someplace that I can't believe that on American soil, that just in Chicago last night, they had military walking around with guns like we're out in, Beirut or something. That's not what you're supposed to see.
It's supposed to be a free country. It's supposed to be a country with safety and freedom of thought and everything.
Yeah, where's the freedom?
One another? None of that. We're turning into everything that we talk about in a negative light about third world countries where they're militarily controlled, yada yada yada. Guess what? We them.
Yeah. Let's not talk about China. We're not doing anything differently.
Nope. It's
don't talk about anybody else. Look in the mirror and try to fix the warts off of your face first.
Yep. No, like I said, we are lacking creativity, ingenuity, and individual thought in this world right now, especially in this country, and we need more of it. I mean, to even make light of it, over the weekend, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to whatever modern music is these days with my kids, and I'm sitting there like, I've heard this beat before, and I think back, oh, this happened 30 years ago. Because guess what? There is no creative and free thought of like actual ingenuity in music and theater and movies. I mean, think about things we've remade in movies in the last 30 years.
I was just talking about that with my wife last night. Every movie is a remake of another movie.
Every show is a remake of a prior show.
Yeah, it's really sad because I don't know I used to try to give at least a little credence to the idea that sometimes you just run out of road, right? Like there's not much more you can do because everything's been done. But I don't think that's the case. I feel like we just become lazy, and it's like,
2025? Like seriously?
Yeah. But it's like we can't come up with a fresh idea. Let's bring something back from the 70s and do that over again, or 80s or 90s or whatever it is, the next hot thing. And there's
I say this in the most fanboy way possible, but Juvenile is back. Think about that for a second.
I saw that. Didn't you send me that?
Juve and the Cash Money Boys are back because you know what? $1 million isn't enough anymore. So they got to become Cash Money billionaires. So they got to bring it back.
Gotta love it. Well, sooner or later we'll be able to get out of this cycle of I don't know, hate.
Yep.
Separatism. Lack of ingenuity and creativity, and maybe we get back to what made America truly great, which was people interacting with people, bringing their perspective. And the true diversity isn't just in color, it's in perspective and how you apply it, and being collaborative and wanting to come up with new things that'll be for the broader people versus the singular person.
Oh, one other thing that's making a comeback, Toys R Us is back, by the way.
No way, really?
They got one popping up. I forgot where in Chicago you guys are. It's supposed to be open by Christmas season. I got one popping up here. There's 20 stores around the country coming back.
Wow. And Toys R Us used to be the thing. Remember, that was the place to go. I used to take my kids there because they
you go down aisle one, and you got glass cases with all the Nintendo games and all the Nintendo things and everything else in between. It was beautiful to watch. And then they were all games, like board games. You know, things.
Board games. Yes. You actually have to do something to interact with it as opposed to pressing a button. Gotta love it. Well, bro, it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I hope that you, as well as everyone else, has a wonderful week. Get out and do something. The weather's starting to change, but it's still been pretty nice. So get out and enjoy it before it gets a little cooler and a little less inviting to go out and do things in shorts and t-shirts.
Enjoy apple cider season. Enjoy some good sports this weekend. Absolutely.
Yep. And pumpkin spice and all of that good stuff that comes with pre-Halloween.
There you go. You're right. All right, folks. We'll see you guys next week.